Reynoso, and we welcome you on a gorgeous fall afternoon for high school football playoff action. And Al, when the teams get together back in September and they start picking the equipment up for the first time, all coaches throughout the state say, let's shoot for the playoffs. Well, these two teams have made it, and this is really their goal right from the start.
Well, it sure is, Matt. Randolph is the defending champion in the playoffs, and they've been, of course, assuming they're going to be here. Rahway came with a little bit of different outlook. They had a new coach, and under the new coach, they've gotten here. It's a little bit different for them. They haven't been here before. At least these players haven't been there before. And it's a contrast of two clubs. One that's been here, expects to be here. Another one that came out the first day and says, let's try to make it, let's work hard. And they got here.
And Al, of course, you're a former coach, a former player. You know what the pressures are like. How is this Saturday different from other Saturdays?
Well, first of all, it's not in the schedule. It's an extra game. Not every club is playing today. So that makes a difference. Now, as I said, Randolph and John Bauer, they've been to the playoffs. These kids have played in the playoff game. They've played in the championship game. So I don't think it's a big pressure thing. And I know John Bauer, and he's the kind of coach that says we take them one at a time no matter what. And I believe that. Some coaches say it, and some coaches really don't believe it, but he does believe it. On the other hand, the Rahway club came out as a question mark. New coach, different system, and they got here. I think Rahway has got the pressure on them a lot more than Randolph does.
Randolph, in the 19 years that John Bauer Sr. has been the head coach, has always had a fine quarterback. He's one of those coaches who's not afraid to put the ball up in the air, and this year he's got another player at that quarterback position that a lot of colleges are looking at, Greg Nardolillo.
Well, Greg Nardolillo is 6'3", 190. He's got 1,200 yards in offense, and that's an outstanding figure. He's a kid who's overcome a great deal of injuries. He's had broken fingers, he's had concussions, and he is the heart of that club. The fact that he comes back off of injuries the way he does inspires the rest of that crew. And John Bauer knows it, and he has no hesitation in letting that quarterback do whatever he wants to do, especially throw the ball.
Meanwhile, Rahway comes in, and they'll try and keep the ball on the ground. And Donnell Powell is their leading ball carrier, and he'll play both offensively and defensively.
Well, he's a great back. They moved him around. They had him at fullback, and they decided that we've got to give him the ball a lot more often. And they have moved him, and he has responded. He's the third of the Powell brothers who has played in the playoffs. And he has been, in terms of in the family, he has played football. He has watched his brothers play, and I think he's looking for an opportunity to really show everyone the kind of a back he is.
His older brothers, Bernard and Mike, came away with championships, and I guess he wants one so that he can say, hey, I'm as good as you guys were.
No question about it. I think this whole Rahway club is very, very fired up for this ball game, and the fans are here early, and the fans are very, very enthusiastic.
Rahway comes into this game with a record of 6 wins and 2 losses. Meanwhile, Randolph is 7-1 on the year. The winner goes on to the Section 2 Group 3 championship round. The loser, well, they look ahead to Thanksgiving, and that will be the end of their season. When we come back, we'll have the opening kickoff, so stay with us. For high school football, not a cloud in the skies, a slight breeze blowing, and Al, as we were talking before the game, we've had some great weather for football this year. There's no doubt about it. The weather has cooperated. It's been not too cold, haven't really had too much rain. It's really been just a great season for high school football. Let's check the officials for today's game, and it is a very large crew given the fact that it is a state game. The referee is Pat Passero. The umpire is Harry Sickles. The head linesman, Leo Spirito. The line judge is Lou Rittenauer. The back judge is Bud Kokel, and the clock operator is Ralph Falvo. Randolph comes into the game with a 7-1 record, and Randolph is seated 4th in the Section 2 Group 3 playoffs. They opened up with a 22-0 shutout win over West Morris. They defeated Boonton by a score of 42-14, 20-14 over Warren Hills, and a 20-18 win over Dover. In the remaining 4 games to date, Hanover Park fell by a 25-6 score. It was Mendham losing 26-16. Morris Hills, which is seeded number 1 in this section, defeated Randolph 20-9. And then last weekend, Randolph wrapped up a berth in the playoffs with a 21-0 victory over Mount Olive. Randolph coached by John Bauer Sr. He has been at the helm for 19 years. When he took over the program, they had been playing varsity football for 3 years. They were 0-27, had lost all games, and he came in, and in that first year, he really started to turn things around. They were 6-3 in 1966, and they've had 19 consecutive winning seasons. Meanwhile, Rahway comes into the game with a record of 6-2, And they really started off, Al, like a house on fire, shutting out Westfield, Linden, Kearney, and Scotch Plains to go 4-0. Their 5th game, they gave up points. They defeated Elizabeth 15-8, came back with another shutout against Irvington, 22-0. And then they went up in that big game against Union. Both teams came in 6-0, and Union really put a hammer job on them. 35-0 shutout win for the Farmers. And last week, Rahway, in a game that Ed Yergalonis said we just did not play well at all, the Plainfield Cardinals came away with a 13-12 win. There's Ed Yergalonis, just 28 years old, young head coach, played his high school ball here, coaching at his alma mater. After he graduated from William and Mary in 1978, he came and coached at Rahway for 2 years as an assistant when they won state championships. Then went to Cincinnati for 1 year as an assistant head coach at the University of Cincinnati, graduate assistant he was. Went to Denellen for 3 years as the head coach and is now back home.
As you said, Matt, we've had fabulous Saturdays. I mean, it's rained on Fridays, it's rained all day Thursdays, but we have had some great Saturdays, and this is one of the best.
Dan Andren kicks off for Rahway. Scott Sandler handles it and bobbles it at his 11. And Sandler dives across the 25-yard line up to about the 27-yard line. That's where Randolph will put things into play, 1st and 10. Up front, the Rams have Ed Morgan, Ed Welpley, Jeff Jamer, Rich Scudder, and Pat Cassane. Their backs and receivers are Tim Gogarty, Scott Sandler, Dan Bierles, a sophomore, Rick Purtell is the left end, Dave Cardinal, the right end. And their quarterback, the player we spoke of in our open, Greg Nardolillo, and just some great stats for the senior. Walking up to the line now, 6'3", 190-pounder, a 3-year starter, but as Al had mentioned in our open, has been injury-prone. The handoff goes to Sandler, and Sandler is up across the 35-yard line, up to the 36, a 9-yard pickup for Sandler. Rahway defensively has a 4-man front. Isaac Scott, Ray Hauk, Darrell Harris, and Lance Thomas are the 4 men up front. The linebackers, Steve Neblett is a rover, and so is Herman Cook. The inside linebackers are Derek Suggs and Donnell Powell. And in the secondary, and they'll be tested today, Tyrone McQueen, Marty Denson the corners, and Horace Baker the safety.
Well, Randolph opened up with a nice gain on that first play. Off tackle with a little bit of a delay in the backfield.
Ooh, the sophomore Bierles gets the handoff, and he was hit immediately by Steve Neblett, the rover, 5'10", 180-pound senior.
Let's take a look. Neblett just comes right now from that spot. You see him coming through, almost clean. Fought off a block at the knees, made the stick. Good shot. They assumed they'd get a first down, and here they are in a 3rd and short situation.
Loss of 2. It's 3rd and 3. Gogarty goes in motion. On the counter, they go to Sandler, a loose ball, and who has it? Ball came free when Sandler was hit on the counter. Randolph recovers, but it'll be a punting situation.
Watch this now. Sandler's going to get the ball. There's a couple of fakes. It's one of the trademarks of Randolph's club. They'll throw a lot of things at you. Watch the pop here. There's the ball coming out. Watch the job Sandler does getting the ball back. That should have been Rahway's ball. It wasn't Sandler. It was one of the other Randolph players at the top of the picture that recovered.
Gogarty to punt, and the senior gets punt off the side of his foot. Emil Lee handles it at the 40. And Lee is brought down by Dan Bierles at about the 43-yard line. Offensively, up front for Rahway, Darren Lewis, Mike Eckert, Joe Caboo, Darrell Harris, and Lance Thomas. The backs and receivers, Donnell Powell, the tailback, Willie Granby is the fullback. The split end is Emil Lee. The tight end, Bill Carter, and the flanker is Tyrone McQueen. And the quarterback, who started last week against Plainfield, making his 2nd start of the year, is Marty Denson. He split time, and may split time in this game, with A.J. Gable in the beginning of the year before taking over as the starter last week. Powell gets the call and gets up to the 45-yard line. Defensively for the Randolph Rams, they have a 6-man front. On the right side, it's Dave Cardinal, Jim Dixo, and Paul Hune. The left side, John Rago, Pat Cassane, and Rick Purtell. Their linebackers on the strong side, Jeff Jamer. The weak side linebacker is Bill Banks. And in the secondary, the corners are Dan Bierles, Scott Sandler, with the safety, Tim Gogarty.
Randolph is keying heavily on Donnell Powell. Rahway's going to have to find a way to give him the ball and get holes open up in the line, or else start giving it to Granby and the other backs in the backfield.
Denson will roll out, looks to cut upfield, and has some room before he's finally driven out of bounds. They mark him out at about the 47-yard line, so short pickup. It'll be third down in about 6. Ed Yergalonis on the sideline. Next to him with the headphones, Keith Hutner, a former player here, now an assistant coach.
It looks a lot like Randolph, which is not a big club, Matt, in terms of size, individual size. Is king, as I said, on Donnell Powell, and the linebackers are reacting directly to the way he goes. Rahway might be successful, a little misdirection. We're expecting a pass here, though.
McQueen comes in motion. And Denson will go to the air. Fires complete for Emil Lee. Lee's got great speed, and he is inside the 35-yard line. He's a big player for them. He filled in after Horace Baker was injured, and Baker started the year at the split end position. Lee came in, and he has such great speed and is so exciting that Ed Yergalonis said, we've just got to keep him in there. He's too good to keep on the sideline. No knock on Horace Baker, just Lee's got that kind of speed.
He did a great job. Dan Birrell's the defensive back for Randolph, the sophomore, went for the interception, and when he missed it, Lee caught the ball and was open for a few more yards, so he made a nice gain out of that flat pass.
Ball marked just inside the 35. It's 1st and 10. 8:12 left to play in the first quarter. Powell gets the call, and the tailback is close to a first down. He was dragged down by Jim Dixo, and also in on the play was Rick Purtell. 9-yard pickup. It'll be 2nd down and 1.
That time Rahway snapped the ball just as Randolph was shifting their defensive alignment. Now, if you watch closely, you'll see that 6-2 defense shifts a great deal depending on the kind of formation they're facing. And at that particular play, Rahway snapped the ball just as the linemen were shifting and got themselves a nice opening in the defensive line.
McQueen and Lee split to the left side. 2nd and short. Powell gets the call. He has the first down as he's inside the 25-yard line. John Rago, the sophomore left guard. And he had help from Paul Hune on the tackle.
First down,
Rago, a sophomore, Bill Banks, a sophomore, and Dan Birrell's a sophomore. 3 sophomores start for Randolph, and that's something that John Bauer would prefer not to do. He feels that by starting sophomores, you're giving up potential points, particularly in a big game. He feels the sophomores are just going to make mistakes. But he says this is the 80s, and you can't expect them to sit on the bench, and I guess you're not getting the same amount of players out. So he's been forced to go with the sophomores this year. Powell gets the call. Powell was tripped up by Birrells and then finally brought down by Purtell as he got inside the 20-yard line down to the 17. Pickup of 7 on the play.
Let's take a look at Powell now. He's going to get a block from the fullback here on a power play inside. Watch Granby up front. He has a big hole to the left. Look at that hole he had to the left. Decided to go to the right. Got himself a nice chunky yardage, about 6 or 7 yards. Make it a long 6. And a good job running on that isolation. They're just running the fullback up in against the linebackers, blocking man on the line of scrimmage, and getting the ball to Powell straight ahead.
Again, Powell gets the call. He has the first down as he gets inside the 15. Purtell dragged him down, had him around the ankles, and brought Powell down, but Donnell Powell picks up about 4 or 5 yards. We'll call it a 5-yard pickup. And the ball is marked at the 14-yard line. Powell, so far, 5 carries, 22 yards, over 4 yards per carry. His average coming into this game was just about that.
I think it was a 4.6, Matt, as we went into this ball game.
6:06 left to play in the first quarter. Rahway driving on their first possession. Here's Denson. He was tripped up behind the line of scrimmage by Purtell, stumbled forward close to the 10-yard line. Denson is a better ball carrier than A.J. Gable. Gable's the passer on this team, so if Rahway finds itself in need of a comeback try, we'll see Gable come into the game. But Denson runs the ball better than Gable, and as we mentioned, he came in and started last week against Plainfield, is in there starting today.
What Ed Yergalonis has decided to do is run Powell straight ahead rather than giving those linebackers the opportunity to react by sending Powell on a wide play. They want to run right straight at those linebackers and make them stand up and play in the trenches.
2nd down and 8. Powell gets inside of the 10-yard line. Rahway looking very good on this drive. They took over at about their 43-yard line following a punt, and they've been tough to stop. They haven't really faced a tough 3rd down situation. This is their most difficult, 3rd and a long 5.
Brings up a 3rd and 5.
Last time they were in a passing situation, of course, this is a 4-down zone, so they really have another play after this. They don't have to panic and throw. But the last time they were in a throwing situation, they threw into the flat to Emil Lee, who was out there in the flat area on a quick square-out pattern.
Lee is lined up as a tight end on the right side. Carter a tight end on the left side. Powell gets the call. Powell down close to the 5-yard line. Bill Banks, the sophomore weak side linebacker, coming up off the bottom of the pile, making the stop. They'll mark him at the 6-yard line. So it's 4th and about 3.5 yards, Al.
4th and 3.
That's a long 3, Matt. It's really a tough down to go running on. They're all going to be keying on Powell. I wouldn't be surprised to see that fake to Powell and a little bootleg by Marty Denson.
Rampy hasn't carried the ball yet, the fullback. Big 4th down play. Denson on the bootleg, and he will be short of the 1st down.
That's exactly what we thought we'd see, Matt. They faked it to Powell, brought Denson out here by himself, but the linebackers for Randolph stayed home, did not go for the fake. Let's look at it here. Here you see right up front from the end zone, the fake to Powell to the right. There goes Denson to the left, and number 82, Rick Purtell, stayed home, shut him off, and Rahway fails to put points on the board.
But they have Randolph deep in their own territory, ball at the 5-yard line. So Randolph wants to do something here and try and get out from the shadows of their own goal line. Nardolillo goes to Sandler on the handoff. Sandler tries to go around the right side, gets nothing, perhaps a half a yard. It's been the defense, really, I would say, Al, that has carried this Rahway team all year long. They have 5 shutouts. It's been a team effort. Head coach Ed Yergalonis says that there really hasn't been one standout or 2 standouts defensively. Each week it's somebody new who makes the play.
Well, they certainly have swarmed on defense. There's an interesting contrast here. Randolph's offense is one of execution. They run traps, they run fakes, they try to fake you out of position.
Here's Sandler going around the end, and Sandler has a 1st down. Scott Sandler, a senior, 6 foot, 180 pounds. Coming into the game, 5 touchdowns, almost 600 yards. He's gone over the 600-yard mark here in this contest. Last year, Sandler, when Nardolillo went down with a knee injury, took over as quarterback. And the coaches at Randolph weren't sure whether or not Nardolillo would be able to return this year because he had some setbacks. His knee gave out on him a couple of times over this summer. And Sandler said, well, I'll be the quarterback again. They said, no, that's really not fair to you. You'll be our halfback, and we'll just have to find another quarterback. But John Bauer said, that's the kind of player Sandler is. We'll do anything for the team. We have some movement on the line, and we will have a 5-yard penalty assessed against the Rahway Indians. Steve Neblett, guilty of jumping across the line. That's something that Yergalonis said would also happen. He said Herman Cook and Steve Neblett, our Roverbacks, and there he is jumping across the line, breaking the plane and losing 5 yards for his team. He said Neblett and Cook are so aggressive.
That's 6 yards. He can threaten to change position.
Well, you heard Ed Yergalonis on the sideline saying, hey, you gave him a 6-yard penalty. It should only be 5. Either the chains are wrong or you gave him an extra yard. And it does look like they only have a 1st and 4 rather than 1st and 5. So something has to be corrected along the sideline, and Pat DeSera will go over and check things out. Anyway, he said that Neblett and Cook are so aggressive that we expect 2 or 3 offsides in this game.
Well, we saw Neblett come clean on a 2nd down play, just blitzed straight in and made the stick for a loss to Randolph. So they are going to blitz and they are going to make some mistakes, but that's the price of aggressiveness.
Dan Beerles, the sophomore, was smoked by Herman Cook. That's the 2nd time that Cook has really smacked Beerles down. And the sophomore saying, whew.
Let's take a look at it. Here it is. Look at this misdirection trap. The trap blocker's up there, and there's a pop. Cook really playing a tough defensive end spot. However, he's the one that's being hooked in on that sweep. He's playing very aggressively inside. And when he does go inside, and Randolph has an outside play called, as they did when Sandler got that first down, they do get around that right end.
Well, here's Sandler slipping and falling in the backfield.
Turns upfield, slips down.
Ball is just shy of the 25-yard line. It'll be third down and about
No gain
3.
on the play. Third down and 3.
No gain for the senior, Scott Sandler.
Well, we've talked about the fact that Johnny Bauer, the Randolph coach, has no qualms about throwing the ball. He hasn't thrown it yet.
Thrown it once. Well, Nardolillo is back in the shotgun formation. It's a deep shotgun. He's about 9 yards deep. And they go on a quick snap to Beerles, and Beerles has a first down.
See, there's an example of the kind of play that Randolph will give you. They'll line up in a passing situation. They line up in the shotgun, and they'll snap the ball to the short back and run him in a dive. And that's something that's difficult to do for a club that has not been practicing that and has not experienced that right up from the freshman level. I mean, you just can't line up in punt formation and snap the ball to a back and have him running at full speed to a hole. It's being blocked by some linemen. But because that is the system, they do it well at Randolph.
First and 10 from the 30. Sandler gets the call. He's hit for a loss on the play by Isaac Scott, 5'10", 175-pound junior. Loss on the play of about 5. It'll be second down and 15 with 24 seconds left to play in the first quarter.
Isaac Scott came right now, and he's the kind of a linebacker that Coach Yergalonis has said, we'll just build a defense around this guy. He'll come and play football hard-nosed, and we just put him in a spot, figure that spot's covered, let's fill in the other gaps around him. Real tough, hard-nosed football player, Isaac Scott, number 20.
You see him in the bottom portion of your screen, really playing more as a linebacker than a defensive end, though they list him as a defensive end. We have a whistle that indicates the end of the first quarter, and after one, we are scoreless in this North Jersey Section 2 Group 3 semifinal playoff. Stay with us. Second quarter action is right ahead.
Come in and see them at 15.
Rahway, Matt Lachlan along with Al Reynoso. Now I've got to be very careful to make sure I say Rahway. Last year we did the Roselle Rahway game, and I kept calling them the Rahway Indians, and a few Rahway natives said, now only the train conductors say Rahway. It's Rahway. First play of the second quarter, Beerles gets the handoff, and he is stopped on the play by Ray Hauk. Gets back near the original line of scrimmage. It'll be third and about 11. First quarter stats. It was Rahway with the advantage in total yards, 47-20. They ran a few more plays than Randolph did. Now that passing stat's interesting. Randolph has yet to go to the air, and they are known as a passing team. Wind's at their back, though now, Al, so we may see them throw. Nardolillo again back deep in the shotgun formation. Beerles is the short back. Nardolillo has it. Fires complete for Sandler and the first down. Across the 40-yard line.
Pick up for a first down.
Pick up on the play of about 13. They needed 11, so they have the first down. Sandler, the leading receiver on this team with 4 touchdowns and 29 catches on the year.
Let's take a look. Rahway has no linebackers on the inside. They want to pressure, and you'll see that look-in pattern goes behind the linebackers underneath the deep coverage. First down. They just needed about a 15-yard pass, and they got themselves a 15-yard pass.
Scott and McQueen were in on the stop. First and 10 from the 43. Beerles, the sophomore, tripped up behind the line of scrimmage. Steve Neblett, the senior rover back, tripping him up behind the line.
Steve Neblett, according to Ed Yergalonis, is a real hitter. And we've seen him. In fact, he had, as you mentioned, Matt, the offside penalty against him. He'll come from the linebacker position. He'll come on certain situations, and he penetrates into the backfield. And that time, he stopped that play for about a half-a-yard loss.
On second down, Nardolillo rolls out, and now he'll tuck it under and run. And the senior is close to a first down. Donnell Powell finally made the stop, and I'm sure the coaching staff holds its breath when Nardolillo runs. We mentioned his knee surgery last year and the fact that his knee did give out on him over the summer as he was working to rehabilitate it. In fact, because of his sore knee, they don't start him defensively. They figured that he would have been their safety, improving the defense that much more, but they just keep him as their quarterback.
Well, because of the faking that Randolph does in the backfield, he gets out into the flat by himself. I mean, he sprinted out to the left. There was nobody there. The one Rahway back that was there just backed up into a hook zone, and he had a first down by just walking over it. He just, because of the faking, it draws in the linebackers, and he gets into the outside area to pass the ball all by himself. Straight ahead dive.
And they get it for a first down on 3rd and 1. They get the ball down to the 46-yard line.
Here you see the thrust of this Randolph offensive line is blowing back the Rahway defenders in the trenches to get that short yardage for the first down. Randolph has moved the ball from their own 5 out beyond the 50-yard line now.
To the 46. They took over when Rahway couldn't convert on a 4th down play, and they were stopped at their 5. Here's a pass out in the flat to Gogarty. Gogarty has a first down. He was tackled by the safety, Horace Baker. There's a first down as the ball is marked just shy of the 35.
Let's look at it. Nardolillo, no fake at all, just quick sprint, square out. The flat area is wide open here. First down execution. Randolph is on a very impressive march against a good Rahway defense.
First and 10. Ball resting at the 35. Sandler gets the call. Hit by Cook, but I think he slipped. That made Cook's play look even a little bit better.
That same action, that cross buck, fake the dive, come to the halfback going the other way, fake to both of them and just step out to the left on the rollout is the trickiness of this Randolph offense. Very, very difficult to defend against. Rahway has been successful to this point by penetrating against it. Stop all that motion in the backfield before it can get started.
Kurt Kuntz and Emma Lee have come on for Rahway, replacing Derek Suggs and Lance Thomas. Nardolillo will tuck it under and run, and Nardolillo has a first down inside the 25, down to about the 21-yard line, and it's another Randolph first down.
Here it is. It's exactly what we talked about. One fake, 2 fakes, all by himself. There's nobody there. There's a cornerback who's backing up for Rahway. He can walk for 10 or 15 yards. Some adjustment's going to have to be made by Ed Yergalonis. I think what he has to do is have that outside linebacker pressure Nardolillo and hope that he can't